in between. We'll toss in some fun facts that many Seattleites don't even know. Plus, we'll give you travel tips on what to see and do to get the most out of your time here in Seattle. Might even make a couple of jokes along the way, you never know. By the end of the tour, you're going to be much smarter than your friends. We're going to have a quiz after the tour. Minimum score to graduate is 100%, and our current graduation rate is 100%, so, no pressure. So let's go explore Seattle, also known as the Emerald City. So right now we're leaving Pier 57. This is a great place to start the tour because this is where Seattle history changed forever. On July 17, 1897, 5,000 people gathered around here where the Great Seattle Wheel is now to watch a boat that just arrived from Alaska. Why? It was unloading 2 tons of gold just mined from the Klondike region in Alaska. Now keep in mind Seattle was just a small logging town at the time. Thousands of Seattleites packed their bags and headed north. The Klondike gold rush was on. If you wanted to travel through Canada to get to the Klondike, the Canadian government required you to have plenty of food, warm clothes, and supplies. Well, Seattle business people smelled an opportunity. They even hired a marketing specialist to tell the world that the gold was in Alaska, but the supplies were in Seattle. It worked. Over 100,000 people from all over the world came straight to Seattle for provisions before heading north to seek fortune. Did the miners get rich? Yeah, not many, but Seattle did. The gold rush turned Seattle from a boy from Sweden. He didn't speak English and he arrived in Seattle. Well, he did well in the gold fields and returned to Seattle with $13,000. What did he do with his money? He opened a shoe store. His name was John W. Nordstrom. The flagship Nordstrom store is still in downtown Seattle. This is a view of the Seattle skyline you can only get from the water. Now, one building may stand out a bit. Do you see the tall, black, shiny building? That's Columbia Center, the tallest building in the state of Washington, at 76 stories, 937 feet tall, and it was built in 1985. Here's a Salish Sea tourist train. War II, Boeing built B-17 and B-29 bombers. With so many men at war, a large part of Boeing's workforce were women. Was it a productive workforce? Well, before the U.S. entry into the war, there were 100 B-17s in use. Once in the war, over 12,000 were built. Boeing was concerned the factory could be bombed by air, so he came up with an idea: camouflage the factory. On the roof, Boeing built a realistic-looking Seattle neighborhood. There were houses, streets, grass, and even street signs, making it nearly impossible for enemy pilots to find the factory where the warplanes were being built. Fortunately, Seattle airspace was never breached. By the way, you don't want to live in that fake neighborhood. The houses were only 4 feet tall. A Salish Sea Tour travel tip. If you're a fan of all kinds of aviation, visit the Museum of Flight on Boeing Field, just south of downtown. Two high school students hacked into their school computer system and got caught. They weren't punished, though. The school said they'd let them use the computers all they wanted if they would fix the glitches and strengthen security. Those two boys were Bill Gates and Paul Allen, founders of Microsoft. Gates and Allen were leaders of the microcomputer revolution of the 1970s and 80s, making Microsoft the largest personal computer software company in the world. Forbes magazine named Bill Gates the world's richest person for 19 of 22 years. As of January of 22, Gates' net worth is an estimated $139 billion. That was recently surpassed by another Seattleite, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, with an estimated net worth of over $220 billion.
Today, the Space Needle looms over the fairgrounds as the single predominant feature, one can be seen for miles in any direction, and undoubtedly more tourists will have their picture snapped standing in front of the Needle this summer than any man or nature-made attraction anywhere in the world.
That was the original live broadcast from the opening of the 1962 World's Fair. And the star of the show is Seattle's most famous icon, the Space Needle. The Needle stands 605 feet tall, and in 2018 it underwent a $100 million renovation with bigger windows and a glass floor on the observation deck. And you may remember the Austin Powers movie when Dr. Evil used the Space Needle as his secret hideout.
If you want it back, you're going to have to pay me $1 million.
The ground surrounding the Needle is called Seattle Center. There's Climate Pledge Arena, home to the WNBA World Champion Seattle Storm, and the Seattle Kraken hockey team. There's the Mopop, or Museum of Pop Culture, with artifacts from films, rock and roll, and more. The Pacific Science Center, with interactive exhibits for adults and kids. They have an IMAX theater, a laser dome, and a tropical butterfly house. If you visit the butterflies, you may be awestruck, but keep your mouth closed, because the green ones are sour. World-renowned glass artist Dale Chihuly has a permanent exhibit of his work, also under the Space Needle. He helped establish Seattle as a world capital of glass art. And of course, the monorail can whisk you from the Space Needle to the heart of downtown in about 2 minutes. Visiting the Seattle Center is a definite Salish Sea Tours travel tip. Fun fact, if you're a fan of the TV show Grey's Anatomy, right across the street from the Space Needle is the building used in the show as Seattle Grace Memorial Hospital. It's not a hospital, though. There's no Dr. McDreamy. The show is set in Seattle, but most filming is in LA. Right on the shore here, you'll see grass and what looks like a small retaining wall. That's part of the Olympic Sculpture Park. It's a 9-acre park full of sculptures by artists from around the world. If you're walking from the Space Needle to the waterfront, stroll through the park and enjoy award-winning art. And it's free. Another exhibit right here on the shoreline is a 46-foot tall head of a woman with closed eyes. Her name is Echo.
This is the true story. True story.
7 strangers.
The real world.
MTV shot 20 episodes of Real World Seattle that aired in 1998, right in this building, Pier 70. Seattle has also been featured in several films, including Harry and the Hendersons, Sleepless in Seattle, Officer and a Gentleman, The Fabulous Baker Boys, Practical Magic, War Games, and The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. One of the most notorious was set in a penthouse in the upscale condominium building called the Escala. What was the movie? 50 Shades of Grey.
All I'm going to say about that, I'd like to say more, but my hands are tied.
Pier 69 here is the home of the Victoria Clipper, a high-speed catamaran that will take you to Victoria, British Columbia, Canada in about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Here, with the big E on the top of it, was the site of some Seattle rock and roll history. The year was 1964. A rock band from Liverpool, England, with strange haircuts was taking the world by storm. On their first world tour, they came to Seattle. There was a problem, though. No Seattle hotels wanted the Beatles as guests. They were well aware of the headaches caused by hundreds of screaming fans. All hotels said no to the Beatles. Except this one here, the Edgewater. In preparation, the Edgewater built a 6-foot-high plywood and barbed wire fence to keep the fans at bay. It didn't work. Some girls snuck in using a laundry cart. Others swam to the side of the hotel. One of the girls, now a grandma, laughs and admits she's pretty embarrassed. Fun fact. A famous photo was taken of the Beatles fishing outside their hotel room window here at the Edgewater. It was published on the cover of Time magazine and seen around the world. They stayed in room 272. Over the last 10 years, the cruise ship industry has become huge in Seattle.
Exciting and new. We're expecting you.
Okay, that's enough of that. This is the second of the 2 cruise ship terminals. Bell Street Pier Cruise Terminal at Pier 66. This terminal is walking distance to Pike Place Market, the Space Needle, and the new Waterfront Overlook Park. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, it's time for our quiz. And remember, to graduate requires a score of 100%. Here's how the quiz works. I'll ask 5 questions, and you just yell out your answers. Don't be shy. If you answer all questions correctly, you will win $1 million. But first, Alexa has this legal disclaimer.
This is a legal disclaimer. Your tour guide is completely nuts. Chances of winning $1 million is exactly 0%.
Okay, let's get started. Question number 1. What famous retailer made his startup money mining gold in Alaska? Answer,
John W. Nordstrom. Question number 2. What common expression meaning an undesirable part of town originated in Seattle's Pioneer Square? Answer, Skid Row. Question number 3. What was the creepy sounding original name of Amazon? Answer, Cadabra, as in abracadabra. Question number 4. What famous airline can trace its roots to Seattle's Lake Union? Answer, United Airlines. And finally, question number 5. If you visit the Pacific Science Center's Butterfly House, which butterflies taste sour?